Friday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, and today's puzzle is by the ever-popular RockyRoer, the American math teacher. You see what I did there? And yeah, his puzzles are always very good fun. This has an interesting rule set, much shorter rule set, some of you will be pleased to hear, than yesterday's, which I appreciate you did need to sort of read an encyclopedia to understand yesterday's puzzle. But what a puzzle it was once you had sort of got your heads round that set of rules. Today's puzzle should be relatively doable as well, sort of 3 out of 5 stars for difficulty, and of course, as usual and as ever on Cracking the Cryptic, extremely high ratings, so it should be a lot of fun. News on our Kickstarter book. We have just passed the point where you guys have ordered 5,000 copies of the book, which is absolutely incredible. I've also been asked to clarify something actually. If you have sponsored the book and you want to nominate puzzles to appear in the book, because what we've got at the moment is 26 puzzles that Mark and I have selected, and there are going to be 10 more puzzles that the community selects. Now, in order to get the puzzle you want on the shortlist, you need to get over to Kickstarter and reply to one of the comments there by the end of tomorrow, and then there is going to be a poll created. So in order to get the puzzle that you want, or the puzzles you want on that poll, you need to register that puzzle by the end of tomorrow. So please do that if you have any interest. I'll put a card on the screen there. I nearly got the direction right for once. Also, of course, close to the 1st of November, when we'll release our bonus content on Patreon. But also today, if I remember, I will release Mark's latest solve of the Times Club monthly special crossword. And this is this barbaric crossword that it features some extraordinary vocabulary. Mark always attempts it without using a dictionary, and I can confidently state that he is the only person on the planet who would have a chance of solving that puzzle without using a dictionary. If you don't believe me, watch the video and then you'll believe me. Now, let's get back to RockyRoer's puzzle. Let me read you the rules. We've got normal Sudoku rules and normal killer Sudoku rules. So a reminder, killer Sudoku rules mean that 10 cage, for example, those 4 squares have to add up to 10 without repeating a digit. And then the difference here is the following. In addition, every cage total, including the ones the solver must determine, must be divisible by the first and last numbers in the row and column that contain that cage total. So this is crazy. So I think that means, let's look at the 10 cage again. That means the first and last digits in the 10, the cell containing the cage total, and these 2 squares, so these 4 yellow squares here, have to be exact divisors of 10. So 10 has to be divisible by these yellow squares, which I think means they could be 1, 2, or 5, presumably. I don't think anything else will work, so we could actually start like that by labelling those cells with 1, 2 and 5. Why don't we do that? Now, if any of you are unsure, you can see there are some cages here. There's 1, 2... is that all? Oh no, that one as well. There's 3 cages that are unlabelled, and you may be saying, well, where does the cage total go? For those cages, it always goes in the very top left-hand-most corner of the cage. So it's going to be in those 3 squares. That's where the cage total will be. And so, for example, for this one, once you've worked out what this total is, we're going to have to make sure that those squares are exact divisors of whatever this cage adds up to. So that's how the rules work. Very interesting, as always, from RockyRoer. Do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video. Now I get to play. Let's get cracking and see how we do. I've left my 1, 2s and 5s in there. Let's hope that's not wrong. 7 in 3 cells must be 1, 2 and 4. And 7 is prime. Okay, this is very helpful. So that means those squares there have to be exact divisors of 7. Well, there are only 2 possibilities that are valid in Sudoku, and that's the digits 1 and 7, therefore, which means there's no 1 in those squares, which means this is a 1. This one can't be a 2 anymore. Oh, it can't be a 2, Simon. This one is seeing that 7, or 1, 7 pair, so we can actually resolve that. We can remove 1 from this one. There's all sorts going on at the start here. The 10... yeah, look, the 10 cage must be 1, 2, 3 and 4. But this square, it can't be 2 and 4. And it can't be 1. There's a 1, 7 pair in its column. So this is 3. Which means we can remove 3 from the rest of the... and we can remove 1 from those two, so 1 must go in there in the 10 cage, which means that square is a 5 all of a sudden, which means this square is a 2. And we're rocking and rolling here. Yeah, look, our 10 cage is going to be useful again. This square can't be a 1. So now we've got a 2, 5 pair in the row, which means this is a 4, this is a 2. And what else have we got going on? We've got... I shouldn't be greedy. This has already gone quite well. We can... Oh, I tell you what we might be able to do. And we can. Yes, let's use some mathematics. Some math, I should say, on the central box. What do the yellow squares add up to? Well, they must add up to 45, because if we look at the finished solution, these yellow squares will contain all of the digits from 1 to 9 exactly once each. If I add up the digits 1 to 9, I get 45. Well, 30 of them are accounted for in those cells, and 4 are accounted for in those cells. That's 34, so these two squares have got to add up to 11, and they can't be 2, 9, 3, 8, or 4, 7, so they are 5 and 6. So these two squares are 8 and 9, look, just to complete this column. Oh, look, we can do more math. Let's do more math on the 42 cage, because it's exactly the same. Look, this is an 8-cell cage. It's the same sort of logic we've just done up here. Now, if this was a 9-cell cage, we would know it would have to contain 9 different digits, and we would know it would add up to 45. So as it's an 8-cell cage, it must be missing exactly one of the digits from 1 to 9, and that digit must be the difference between 45 and 42. So there is no 3 in this yellow cage here, which means where does the 3 go in box 8? Well, it can't go in those squares, so it must go here. Which means there's a 3 up there, look. There's a 2 in one of those two squares as well, just using Sudoku. And this is very interesting. Look, these squares here these squares don't contain a 2, but I know the only digit missing from the 42 cage is a 3. So one of these two cages cells must be a 2, and it can't be this one. So this is a 2. This is beautiful. This now can't be a 1, because if this is a 1, you'd need to put a 1 in the 42 cage there, and you can't. So this is a 7. This is a 7. There's a 7 in one of those squares. There's a 7 in one of these squares. And this square up here is a 1 now. I like this puzzle so far. It's a lot easier than some of the puzzles I've been faced with recently. But no less fun. Look, that 2 is fixing that 5. I should have done that before. That fixes the 2 up here. Okay, so I've used that one. I've used this one. And oh no, I haven't. Although I've used this cage, I haven't used the dividing property, have I? So those 4 squares have to divide into 42. Look, I need to do these separately though, because in this column there is a 30 as well. So let's do it vertically first. So these can, in theory, before we do eliminations, what divides into 30 and 42? Well, 1, 2 and 3 do. 4 doesn't. 5 doesn't. 6 does. And 7 doesn't. So 8 and 9 obviously won't work. So let's see what we can remove. We can remove 2 and 3 from down here, and we can remove 1 and 2 from up here. So it's nearly good, but not quite. Okay, so let's look at those squares. These have got a lot more options because they aren't restricted by the 30. We can put 3, can't put 4 still, can't put 5. 6 and 7 are both possible. 7 is not possible on this side. 1 and 2 aren't possible on that side. 2 isn't possible there. Gosh, it's going to be very easy for me especially to miss one of these. I know what I'm like. You guys know what I'm like. I will try not to miss anything obvious. So maybe I look at the 30 clue now, because that's affected by the 12. So these squares, if we look at the row, have to divide into 12 and 30. So they can be 1, 2, 3. They can't be 4 or 5. They can be 6. So that one can't be 1 or 2. This one can't be 2. Bobbins. That's a shame. I thought that would be good. The 20 cage. We've got a 20 cage there. So, yes. Okay, I can see immediately that the 20 cage is interesting, because what divides into 20? Well, I can see 3 of the divisors are 2, 4, and 5, none of which are possible here. So, yeah, okay. So this square has to be a 1, because there are only 4 digits that divide exactly into 20 between the numbers 1 and 9 inclusive. Let me just double check that. I think that, no, that is right. So this is a 1. That gets rid of 1s there and there. That plonks a 1 up here, look. And on this side of the grid, we must be looking at a 4 or a 5 into this square, both of which seem to be possible. Okay. So is this helpful? 5, 6. The answer is, I'm not sure yet. It might be. Maybe I should just do some more Sudoku, actually. I'm looking around the grid and seeing that there might be opportunities to tidy up some stuff. 1, 6, 3. Oh, 3, 6 pair there. So this square's got to be a 5. That's a 6. Now. Yeah, look. Look at this 12K. Yeah, look at the 12 cage. This is very interesting. This is very interesting because this square has to be a high number. And by high, I mean it has to be higher than 5. So this has to be 6, 7, 8, or 9. But we know there's a 1 in here. So these two digits here have to be a maximum of 1 and 5. 5 is impossible. 3, 2, and 6 are all impossible. So this has to be 1, 4. If it's any higher than that, this square has no value. Let me just double check that. That feels right. It is right. So that's 1, 4. This must be 7. That means that's not 7. This 1, 4 fixes that this is a 5 now. And don't think we can do much more, can we? So we need 6, 8, and 9 into those squares. That one can't be 6. I need to put a 4 in here. 4 must be in one of those two. Maybe that's, no, not quite. This box has got to be divisible by 6 because of the 3, 6 pair here. Now that might be helpful. So actually, what are the options for this particular cell? Because it can't be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. This has to be 7, 8, or 9. So, and we need to make sure this box is divisible by 6. Which means we're always trying to get the box to add up to 18, because we can't make it add up to 24 because it's got a 5 in it, and we can't make it add up to 12 because you can just see that those options are unavailable. So how do we make this work at all? We've got to make those two squares add up to 13. There is only one way. That's lovely. So that's 6, 7. That's not 6 anymore. That 6 fixes the 3. Oh, this is very clever. This is very clever. It's original and clever. What more could you ask for, really? Now, those two squares have got to be 4 and 7. don't know the order yet. These squares are 3, 8 or 9 to complete this box. This square can't be 7 anymore, that's got to be 8 or 9. Now, so I've used this, well, I've sort of used this box. I haven't looked in those squares, so these squares here have to divide into 18. So they could be 1, they can't be 2, there's a 2 in the column, they could be 3, they can't be 4 or 5, and they can't be 6. Oh, but they could be 9. Ah! They could be 9. Gosh, I nearly missed that. That one can't be 1. And again, apologies if you're seeing something here that I'm not seeing. There's a 3 there. That's just not 6, therefore. That's not 6. It's really easy to miss one of these. Now, okay, so I'm trying to get a handle on whether I'm best to look at Sudoku or to continue. Maybe I should continue looking at these restrictions. That we've got the yeah, actually this column I should have looked at, shouldn't I? Because there's a 12 and a 20 there. So these two digits have to divide 12 and 20. So 1, 2, 3 doesn't work, 4 does work, 5 doesn't work, 6 doesn't work, nothing else will work. So 1, 2 and 4, that's got to be a 2 or a 4, that's got to be a 1 or a 4. Nearly. Oh, 1 4 pair in this column though, so that must be a 2. I thought that would be more useful. Does it? Oh, it does give me a 2 in box 7. It gives me a 2 there. What else do we do now? Sorry. I'm not sure. I can probably restrict this 20 cage down a bit now. I can restrict the value of this square. If this was an 8-9 pair, this would have to be a 1. If this is not an 8-9 pair, it's got to involve a 3, so we'd be looking for 15 in the other digits. So this would have to be a 9-6. It couldn't be 7-8, look. So this is a 1 or a 6. Oh, hang on. There has to be a 3 in here. Because the 3... if there has to be a 3 in there, this has to add up. Yeah, this is interesting. This has to be 3, 9, because 3, 8 would force a 7 here. Sorry. So that's 3, 9. This is 6. Which might... Yeah, that forces a 6 here. That forces a 3 at the top. That forces a 9 there. Okay, so 7... 7 must go there, look. Just using my pencil marks. So 7 is in one of those two cells. This digit is a bit restricted by Sudoku. It can't... Yeah, in fact, it's very restricted. What can this be? It could be 4. It could be 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8. That's the only two options. Right, and we can immediately rule 8 out, because we know that if 8 is in this square, this box has to divide by 8, because this is the first digit in its column. And it can't divide by 8, because if that's 8, I can see 6 and 2 also add up to 8. So the only way of making this domino divisible by 8 is to put a 7 there, which will clash. So this is not 8, this must be 4. Which means this could be 3 or 7, and it can't be 7. So this is 3. So 3 must be in one of those two squares. Those two squares at the bottom have got to be 8 and 9 now. There's an 8-9 pair in this row, so 1, 4 and 5 left to place. That's got to be a 4, it's a naked single. And this can't be a 1, so it must be a 5, because there's a 1, 4 pair there. So this becomes a 1. 5 must live in one of those 2 squares. 6. Where does 7 go now in this row? 7 must go there. These 2 squares are a 6-8 pair, which we can resolve. 6 and 8 go into the grid. These 2 squares are 2 and 9, which we can also resolve. 2 and 9. This 2 fixes the 2 and the 4. So this box needs 3, 4 and 5. Can we do that? Yes, well, yes we can. The 4s pinch the box, look. Force a 4 there, which forces the 3 and the 5 to finish. 5 must live in one of these 2 squares. This is going quite well now. 3. Oh, what am I doing there? It was going quite well until I ignored the fact that I'd already put a 3 in this box. Don't ignore the fact you've already got a 3 in the box. It won't get you far in Sudoku. 9 here, of course, and 9 here. Fix the 9 and the 8. That fixes this 8 and this 9 and this 8, which we could have got once I put the 3, 9 in. Apologies, I know people will be cross. 8 goes here. So if we look down there, look, these 2 squares are a 1, 3 pair. These 2 squares need to be 5 and 8. Oh, that's surprising. This 9 though, the 9 is fixing the 9 and the 8 and the 5, the 8 and the 9, good. These 2 squares have got to be 4 and 5, which we can do. There's a 5 at the top of the grid. That fixes the 4 and the 7, places a 7 here. These are 6, 8 and 9. We can do this as well. Well, we can't do the 6 and the 9 yet, but we can do the 8, which plonks an 8 down there. These squares have got to be 5, 6 and 9. The 5 here forces this to be the 5. So these are a 6, 9 pair. 6, it's all getting resolved, I think. 9, 6 here. This cage adds up to 30. Oh, is that how that gets resolved? Yeah, look, this adds up to 30, so we know those 2 must divide 30, and they do. These 2 must divide 30. Well, they don't if that's a 4. So this has to be a 1. That's a 1, that's a 4. That plonks a 4 down here, fixes the 1 and the 3. That fixes the 3 and the 9. Check. Yeah, that's how to solve it. Lovely puzzle. Bit different today, and not too difficult for once. And I even think I butchered that in terms of there were a lot of occasions where I felt, oh my goodness, I could have seen that immediately. I mean, simple examples, this 9 was just looking at an 8 or a 9 there, and if I'd scanned the row properly, it would have instantly gone in. So I'm sure there'll be a number of you who beat my time today, but I hope you enjoyed watching me do it. I certainly enjoyed solving it, as always, with RockyRoer. He is a wonderful, wonderful Sudoku constructor. Come back later for another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.